Hello. Who's there? Super hot in Rome. I just see Anne Nelson, sorry. Nobody's there. Well, it's 5 o'clock, so I should start the tour. We have on the back the Palatine Hill, one of the 7 hills of Rome, and actually the most important hill of Rome, where Rome was created and where everything began. That could be our part 3 of this tour. It's a huge area, but it's the hill where everything started. We're gonna see the Roman Forum today, but the Palatine Hill is definitely something to see. So if you wish to see, we may add a 3rd part to this tour, to this series, and see the Palatine very soon. How about that? Anyways, welcome to Rome. Welcome to Rome, welcome to YouTube. This is the Roman Forum, part 1. We'll definitely have a part 2 with the Imperial Forum, and then we'll have also maybe part 3 with the Palatine Hill, where everything began. And with that, we'll have covered everything, because we also did the Colosseum, which is part of the same area. It's all part of the archaeological Colosseum Park. Do you hear me right? Anyways, now before we actually start, let me remind you that this is a free tour, but you're more than welcome to support the tour with a tip. Any amount is appreciated, and the links to support me are in the description below, both PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee, but also in the description of the channel. The view from here is amazing, so we'll flip the camera very soon, but then we'll go down to see the Roman Forum, and so we'll leave what we have in the back, which is the Palatine Hill, and we'll probably see it again in this series dedicated to the Roman history. My mother's here with me today. She's probably walking around, wandering and seeing stuff. We'll probably encounter at some point. But it's a very hot day, and the tours are permanently on YouTube. At least for a big while. You'll have them to rewatch in case. Both cooking and city tours. Unfortunately, the cooking probably will be stopped after August because of the lack of support on that. So we're forced to close the stores, but the cities are still on. From now on, we have 2 city tours a week. We just had the Fountains Part 3 with Torre Argentina area, and today the Roman Forum. So the 2 city tours are one on Friday night, generally at 10:30 p.m., and the other one on Sunday, today at 5 p.m. Thank you, Anne, for your support already. I guess you hear me fine. And well, if I have more infos to give you, I will during the tour, but I would start a tour, right? We're ready. So send an okay if you're ready. And in the meantime, I will flip the camera. Oh my God, headache already. As ready as we can be. Look at the view from here. Oh, sorry. The camera, there you go. Look at the view. this is everything we'll see today. This is not very Cretan area, it's more what we saw the other day, but we may encounter some. So we're gonna see what you see in front of us, but in detail. We'll go down here and see the Roman Forum inside, and we'll leave the Palatine Hill. So this part, which will probably be part 3 of this series, or part 2. It is wow. If you think that this was the heart of one of the biggest empires in the world. First of all, we should probably, sorry, I should probably drink some water because it's really hot, and I have a dry mouth, but probably we should define first the difference between Palatine Hill. We said it's one of the 7 hills of Rome, and it's where Rome began, like where, you know, the legend of Romulus and Remus, the 2 twins fed by the she-wolf, and Romulus being the first king of Rome and deciding to create a city on top of this hill, and that city being the so-called Rome. And then the Roman Forum, which is the one you're seeing in front, the heart of the city. And then the Imperial Forum, which will be part 2 or 3 of this series. We'll see how it goes. Depends if this tour is successful, then we'll continue the series. If not, then we'll stop it here. But in Roman cities, the Forum, which is the center of city life, is located where the Cardo, C-A-R-D-O, which is the street running from north to south, intersects with the Decumanus, D-E-C-U-M-A-N-U-S, the street running from east to west. So basically 2 streets intersecting, and consists of a square, often porticoed, which is also overlooked by a temple. But how was a forum to be designed? It was to have wide porticos, as I mentioned. Under the porticos will be banker stores, and on the upper floor, terraces to facilitate public contributions. The size of the forum was to be proportionate to the population. That's why the forum here is very big. Population was already pretty big back then. Widest to avoid the space being insufficient, or on the contrary, seeming huge in relation to a small number of inhabitants. Its width had to be two-thirds of its length. The plan was thus rectangular, that is, of a shape particularly suitable for the purposes of entertainment. If you don't hear me fine, just let me know. Well, indeed, it was a tradition in Italic cities to have gladiatorial fights held in the Forum. They were also held in the Roman Forum, at least until the entire Principate of Augustus, the House of Augustus, which we'll see maybe in part 2 or 3 in the Palatine Hill. And let me tell you, I've just been there, so it's amazing. And again, basilicas were to be built in the warmer areas near to the Forum, so that in winter the negotiators could go there without being affected by bad weather conditions. Pretty understandable. And finally, the treasury. The treasury, the prison, and the Curia were to be built on areas adjacent to the Forum and of a size proportional to the size of the Forum itself. I will tell you more about what a Curia is later, which we'll see the main Curia here in the Roman Forum. Now let's start going down. Good, I'm glad. If we encounter any fountain, let me know. It's pretty hot, so probably the phone will warm up, but will warm. Anyways, the forums occupy a flat space between the Quirinal, Viminal, and Palatine and Capitoline hills, the four main hills of Rome, and I've always been in direct communication with each other. Unfortunately, as probably some of you already know, between 1932 and 1933, the fascists, we're going down now by the way, the fascist regime decided on the construction of the pompous Via dell'Impero, the street of the empire, today Via dei Fori Imperiali. I'm sure that if you've been to Rome, you've walked on it. It's a street that connects the Roman, the Colosseum to the main square of Venezia Square. So it was completely cut. The entire and the unified complex was completely cut in two. So it's a very impossible, like pretty impossible for the modern tourist to reconstruct the ideal ancient route that through the Via Sacra, the sacred route, which won through the tangled fabric of the Roman Forum, led to the airy and dramatic ensemble of the imperial fora. Of all the monuments still standing, I will consider during this tour and tell you only about the most intact and significant ones. You can see the Colosseum in the distance there on the right, so that we don't get stuck. This tour is of course one of the toughest. The forum is huge, so of course we necessarily need to cut down on some infos, otherwise we would stay here the whole day. So as you see, I want to show you. See Palatine Hill on the left and Roman Forum on the right. So today we'll see Roman Forum. Palatine Hill is the hill. We just descend from there, but we actually didn't see anything. The buildings of the Roman Forum follow one another from the farthest to the nearest, as if one were looking at the complex from the Arch of Titus, and this is the Arch of Titus, or Titus in English. The imperial forums, and that's the big difference, and that's part 2 or part 3 of this series, on the other end are ordered according to the date of their construction. So it's not this is where the city was born. The imperial forums are basically the forums that every emperor wanted to create according to their style. The Arch of Titus. There you go. Hello, Diana. So this was the arch was erected to celebrate the victories of the Emperor Titus Flavius Vespasianus, Vespasian actually in English, and his son Tito in the Jewish War, so called as it culminated with the defeat of the Jews and with the consequent destruction of the Temple of Jerusalem in the 70 AD, Annus Domini. Hi, Lori. After the destruction of their temple, so the temple of the Jewish, the Jews were forced to emigrate And that was the beginning of the great diaspora. Diaspora from the Greek, meaning dispersion. So that was the beginning of the Jewish, who had no longer, since then, their own national territory. This arch is partially incorporated with the medieval structures that preserved it from destruction. A little bit of sun, so probably I'll move. Because people are scared of the gimbal, so I don't know. Look how beautiful this view. Anyways, partially, as I was saying, incorporated with the medieval structures, and that preserved it from destruction. That's why it's still visible as it was back then. And restored, though, in the 19th century. And the construction has only one supply and has 4 columns, as you can see. There's 4 columns here, and they're all crowned by composite capitals, which appears here for the first time in a triumphal monument. Above the entablature, the penthouse still preserved the registration with the dedication. I will show you the inscription. As I was saying, the dedication to the victorious emperor. Right there in the middle on the top. You see it? Senatus Populusque Romanus, as always, SPQR. Always praising, generally popes, this time the emperor. Inside the fornice, the arch, there are 2 reliefs represent moments of the triumphant procession celebrated in 71. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned, but this arch, again, made after the 81 Annus Domini AD. And the first important shows the quadriga, this one that you see on the right, which is a chariot. Quadriga is a chariot driven by 4 horses of the emperor, to whom the victory symbolically brings the crown. The horses are held by the goddess of Rome in front. Beautiful. While a number of characters move the scene, as you see, it looks like it's moving. They suggest this large participation of people. And then on this other side, we have another relief, the second one, that shows the entry of the procession through the triumphal door, with the bearers who raise over the head some of the precious treasures saved by the Temple of Jerusalem. We may recognize, if you maybe do some zoom, the 7-armed gold candelabra, the menorah, the golden altar, and the silver trumpets. Beautiful. Are you amazed? Arco di Tito. Arch of Titus. I don't know why I have a song stuck in my head. Baby, 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 dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun. I don't know why. I just saw my mother.
Some of the things in context.
Rimani là? She's not seeing me. Ma? Rimani là? Rimani là? Sicura? Okay, she's coming with me. Is everyone there? It's so silent. Sicura? Può restare? Okay, she'll come with me, but I speak English, so probably she won't understand anything. Now we'll go see the temple of Antonino and Faustina. Tu l'hai mai visto?
Sì.
Ah, c'è un po' d'acqua. Do you guys mind if I drink a little because it's very hot? Mi dai un po' d'acqua? I'll stop a little. Thank you. Okay, there's a fountain here, so è fresca, eh? Vuoi? Riempila di nuovo che è fresca. I'm sorry. I really needed to drink because it's very hot. Vado di qui, ma a destra. Okay, let's continue. Of course, as I said at the beginning, we won't mention everything. Okay? Because of course it's too big. But I'll give you infos about the main ones. At least you have an idea. Yeah. Thank you. I just popped in between things. I'm doing okay. It looks amazing. We'll watch full replay for sure. Okay. Perfect, Cheryl. Allora. No. Oh, my bad. My bad, guys. My bad. I was gonna get out. Okay, end of the tour. I'm sorry, my bad. Wrong. No, rimani là. Okay. It must be the heat. I got confused. Pretty normal. In this very hot day of August. Instead of being at the beach, you know? Tu rimani lì? Va bene. Okay. So. We'll keep walking. I don't know if you heard, now the Via Appian of Rome became the 60th patrimony of the UNESCO, keeping Italy as first country in the world as for the majority of patrimonies protected by UNESCO. And we're very happy about it. China being the second one. Okay. Now we're probably getting into the heart of this. And here we go. So as I said, the next one will be the temple of Antoninus and Faustina. 141 Annus Domini. By the way, the one we are passing by, which is the temple of Romulus, it's I didn't include it in the tour because As I said, it's too big to include everything, but this is the Temple of Romulus. The door is in bronze. It's original, and the lock still works. Can you believe that? But let's keep walking to the temple of Antoninus and Faustina, which is probably the best preserved temple of the entire forum. This feature derives from having been transformed into a church, Church of San Lorenzo in Miranda, perhaps already between the 7th and the 8th century. And this is the one. You are in the history today. So being transformed into a church, it made it possible to be preserved, and actually the best preserved one. Look how beautiful. The building was wanted by the Emperor Antoninus Pius in 141 AD to honor his consort, Faustina, divinized after death. Yeah, people believe they cannot pass by in front of the camera. I love the power. Oh, you hear Dutch? It could be. I mean, there are tourists, of course. We're in the heart of the city. The temple rests on a marble podium. Let's see. The cell of the temple is preceded by a porch with, in addition, 2 columns on each of the long sides, and the columns are in chives with characteristic green blue streaks, but they have bases and capitals in white marbles. You will surely remember the temple of Antoninus and Faustina in Villa Borghese when we did a tour with Ego, because that's the fake copy. This is the original one, of course. And then, of course, I don't know if you noticed, in the middle, the statue that probably belonged to the temple back then. Of course, the fake reproduction of the one in Villa Borghese is way smaller. And you probably see there on the side, on the left, the inscription, Temple of Antoninus and Faustina. Just like the Pantheon, Roman sure knew how to make amazing doors and locks. Yes. Yes. My mother's a little bit slower today, of course, because it's very hot. And look at the sides of this building. It's just imposing. Take pictures of it. Okay, let's keep going while we see this beauty here. And in the meantime, you may hear music, because this music is from some speakers that are on here. We could go to the other side, probably. Why not? You want to see the other side? Let's go to the other side. Okay. Let's move to this side instead. Oh, I have a cellular alarm. Yeah, I need to take my pill and I forgot. By the way, thank you, Diane, for your support. When it's 6, it will ring, but you'll bear with me. Okay. Oh, I love the music. Can you hear it? Libiamo nei lieti, na 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 na. Okay. Why here? Because this is one of the basilicas, of course, destroyed by Basilicas Aemilia, Fulvia Aemilia. The Basilica Aemilia is the only surviving one of the Republican basilicas. Of course, now you just see some columns. But I'll just go around slowly now. And was founded by the censors of 171 before Christ, Marcus Aemilius Lepidus and Marcus Fulvius Nobiliorus. The latter took such special care in its construction that they initially called it Fulvia instead of Aemilia because of him. Look at the remains here. A final restoration took place after a fire which, from the coins found melted on the floor, can be dated to the early 5th century. So very, very, very old. The remains of the fire were covered by a new floor placed at a higher level. I'll show you. This is the part of the columns of the superior part of the basilica that you're seeing. The origin of this type of building, by the way, introduced to Italy after the Second Punic War, is to be sought in great cities of Hellenistic East, confirmed also by the name of obvious Greek heritage origin, which refers to the royal portico of the agora in Athens. The agora, big space. And then we'll see some other part of the basilica. It is widely believed, look how beautiful the details I'll give you. It is widely, so I was saying, it's widely believed that that the function of these buildings can be linked to the one of a stock exchange and a court of law together. In reality, the Basilica of Rome was nothing more than a large space and a large covered space intended in bad weather to cover functions, the functions proper to the forum. That is to house the courts and all the economic transactions that in more favorable times took place outdoors. Okay. Hello, Elisabetta. Okay, ready to move on? We already saw the Arch of Titus, the temple of Antoninus and Faustina, and now the Basilica Aemilia. Questo è bello, questo? My mother, by the way. E quella è la Basilica Aemilia, però è rimasto poco.
Di Antonio e Faustina che ho detto qualcosa.
Sì, certo. Vediamo che c'è qui. Okay, let's keep going. Ah, super, super hot. I want to show you part of the pavement. Beautiful mamma, Carla dice. Part of the pavement here, the upper sectile marble floor of the taberna of the Basilica Aemilia. You see, it's still part of the basilica here. Look at the floor. And what you see here, it's all part of it. Questa è tutta la basilica. E quella dovrebbe essere la Curia.
Sì, la Curia.
In front of you, the Curia. We're making a very weird tour in terms of going around, but it's fine. There's not a precise order anyway, so. Well, since we're here, yeah, that's why Carla, like my mother's here. Sometimes I'll drink water from her bottle or fountains because it's really, really hot. Okay, what you see in front is the Curia. I actually intended to show you this almost at the end, but we'll see now. It's fine. As I said, it doesn't have to be the same tour as always. It can change. We'll just move here and I'll tell you more about the Curia, which is super important because it was the ancient seat of the Roman Senate. So, super important space. There you go, the Curia. It might be just a brown building, no. An important one, because as I said before, it was the ancient seat of the Roman Senate, and it was founded according to tradition by King Tullus Hostilius. I'm just waiting for people to move because they make too much noise by walking. It was rebuilt several times, and most notably in 80 before Christ by Sulla, and after 52 before Christ by Caesar, who also changed its location, shape, size, and orientation, aligning it with his own forum, which is on the other side. And but the present building is a further reconstruction, as you may guess, carried out under the reign of Diocletian. The Curia is one of the best preserved buildings, as you may see in the forum, as it had already been transformed into a church, again, of Saint who? Saint Hadrian, in the 7th century. The interior presents a large hall with dimensions of 88 per 59 feet times 59 feet. On each of the two major sides, 3 facing shelves house the seats for the senators who voted by secessions, that is, those in favor on one side and those against on the other, therefore with a continuous movement from one side to the other of the large hall. At the back, two doors facing the Forum of Caesar, there's a small podium. Was reserved for the presiding officer of the sessions. We're seeing the site now. And beside the podium was the Statue of Victory with the altar dedicated to it. So the floor, late in age and partly the work of modern restoration, is in opus sectile, as we just saw before. An example of also the basilica is in opus sectile, or opus sectile, of course, being in Latin. Dun, dun, dun. So my mother left, and I have no more water. As soon as I see a fountain, I will drink. We saw this part already, the Basilica Aemilia. The floor here on the right, but we need to do the whole tour to keep going. No, lì è l'uscita. Manca qui? Ok, found my mother again. Fammi bere, fammi drink a little. Di qua.
Quello mi interessa. Spiega che è la madre dell'uomo del regno.
Ok. Four things seen now. We'll keep going. There you go. È di qua? My mother's interesting in the Vestals house, of course, being a super famous one. And this is the temple of Vesta, by the way. So we'll stop here a little. Comunque hai tutti i cartelli, eh? Hai i cartelli, vedi? Questo è il tempio di Vesta. Il tempio di Vesta. I just told my mother that she has signs she wants to read in Italian. I'm sorry. You guys are silent. I'm sorry that I'm making it very personal today, but it's very, very hard. The Temple of Vesta and Vestal's house. We'll see the Vestal house very soon, which is super, super, super famous place to see. The Temple of Vesta was the most sacred place in Rome. Was the one in which the perennial fire of the protector goddess of the domestic fireplace and the homeland burned. A college of priestesses, the Vestals, took care to always keep the fire on under penalty of very strict punishments. I'll translate very quick to my mother. Questo è il tempio di Vesta, dove le vestali dovevano tenere il fuoco acceso sempre, se no gravi punizioni.
Che è successo con Re Silvia?
We're sitting on a column, but no, we are allowed to sit here. Okay, back to the temple. So, however, the fire was a cause of over the centuries of serious fires that repeatedly destroyed the temple. The current circular shape is that defined after 64 AD, Annus Domini. And although the few remains that you see now widely integrated and partly relocated in modern times are those of the restoration to which the building was subjected in 191 AD. By the will of the Empress Julia Domna, consort of Septimius Severus, by the way. The temple had a conical coverage with a central opening from which the smoke of the sacred fire came out. Quindi c'era un buco da dove usciva il fuoco. Tra l'altro sto fuoco fu causa di tanti incendi, quindi per quello che poi si incendiava. Tenetelo acceso e poi, no? I'm just telling my mother's story because, like, you know, they had to keep the fire on, otherwise they would get punished, and then because of a fire the temple got destroyed. So how funny. But anyways, Roman times. Some objects were preserved inside the building, particularly sacred for Roman and very revered by the Romans themselves, which were believed to be brought here even by Enea, who escaped the Trojan War. Connected to the temple was the Vestali house, la casa delle Vestali. Pensa, c'erano anche gli oggetti di Enea portati qua, nella guerra di Troia. Qui. Dovrebbero essere qui a fianco. Questo è l'arco di Augusto. Un attimo. È un altro tempio. Oh wow, I don't know if you can keep, if you see that big vase there, cup, you maybe see there. Okay, nobody's talking, so I just want to make sure that if everybody's there. Oh wow, it's about to fall. We're making, as I said before, a different tour.
Mucho gusto. La próxima nos vemos por acá. Divertite.
This is the area of the sacred area of Juturna. All the people that are working in this archaeological site, they're resting here. Look how beautiful. Are you ready? Wait, I'll me, because this is really beautiful to see. Guarda che bello di qua. Non ce la fai, lascia. You lost me? Oh, that's why. That's why you were not responding. So you didn't see it inside? We're getting out then. We're getting out. Maybe it's because here is the interior part and the signal is not that good. I'll get out.
c'è la chiesa di
via dei Fori Romani.
qua c'è la chiesa di Santa Maria Antigua.
This is this church of Santa Maria Antigua. I don't know if you lost me. Okay, too bad you couldn't see it. Una chiesa. Too bad. The inside was really, really cool. I'm sorry that you couldn't see because of the signal, but it's fine. We'll keep going. Even though by doing this, we're going back, and I don't want to go back. No, ma qui torniamo indietro. Io devo andare avanti. Mi scusi? Ma di qua si torna di nuovo all'Arco di Tito praticamente. E per andare di nuovo di qua? Verso Settimio Severo. Di qua, insomma. Devo riuscire di qua. Ok. Okay, guys, you will lose me again, because that's the only way out. Can you still hear me? Maybe you're lucky this time. Ah, ma state chiudendo qui?
Guarda, tra 5 minuti.
Ah, vabbè, no, mia madre perché sta arrivando mia madre.
No, tranquillo.
No, più che altro perché di là si va solamente, si ritorna indietro, quindi...
No, più che altro perché alle 6 chiude anche l'accesso dalla rampa, cioè chiude la rampa, quindi...
No, siccome io volevo continuare a vedere di qua,
Sì, sì, no.
invece
se
di là
sta
solo...
qua alle 6, noi poi qua chiudiamo.
Yeah. I told you that I was gonna be losing signal again, but because the church that you missed, unfortunately, and I will show you the outside. It's the interior is beautiful, but of course, being inside and out, Mama, devi uscire. They're closing the church. Unfortunately, it's a little under the level, and so ground level, and so that's why we lose signal. Non c'era segnale là. Comunque. No, dico. That's why. Queste sono il Tempio degli Oscuri. The Temple of the Oscuris. These three columns that you see here, and the birds that you hear. Maybe more on the other side, but still, we'll just go around. Also called the Temple of Castor and Pollux. On a high podium, the three surviving Corinthian of the Temple of Castor and Pollux arise, also called the Temple of the Oscuri, the two divine twins who, tells the legend, during the battle of 4099 before Christ, who opposed the Romans to Latins, allies of Tarquinio, superb, in an attempt to regain Rome. They appeared in the saddle of two white horses and led the Romans to victory. Immediately afterwards, the same knights were seen drinking horses to the source of Juturna, the church that you lost because of Sino, and then now the people recognized the Dioscuri in those horses. The dictator Aulo Postumio Albino voted to erect a temple in their honor, which was dedicated by his son in 484. The podium, of which only the part in the cement work remains, that you don't see right now because it's covered by this wall, is largely that of 117 before Christ, and it incorporates various remains of the previous phase. We want to remember that a marble block of the temple was removed and used as the base of the equestrian statue of Marcus Aurelius, which is located in the Piazza del Campidoglio, the Capitolium. You remember when we went there the first tour of this season, of this year? Well, the big equestrian statue was made with some of the marble of this podium. Parte del marmo del podio di questo tempio, che si chiama il Tempio dei Oscuri, fu usato per fare la statua di Marco Aurelio, anche chiamato Tempio di Castore e Polluce. Guarda lì sopra.
La terrazza dove stavamo prima.
Sì? Sì. The terrace that you see there on top is the Palatine Hill. That will be part 2 or 3 of the series if you're interested. If not, we'll just do part 2 with the Imperial Forums. Look how beautiful those 3 columns. By the way, thank you, Elisabetta, for the support. Very much appreciated. And here we are with Basilica Julia. All this space is the Basilica Julia. We're a little below compared to the Basilica, but still, this was made, as you may guess, Basilica Julia, by Julius Caesar during 54 before Christ. Basilica Giulia, costruita da Giulio Cesare. Giustamente, Basilica Giulia. Tutta questa, sì. You don't see much, but la mia pasticca, sta la mia pasticca, vabbè, dopo. And during the work on the construction of Caesar's Forum in place of the Basilica Sempronia and in place of the Taberne Veteres, which in Latin means old shops, in front of it. So this was inaugurated and dedicated to Julius Caesar, hence the name Julia, in 46 before Christ. Albeit unfinished, 2 years before Caesar's death. As we go farther, probably we'll be able to see more, but unfortunately most of it is destroyed. Okay, see, you have a suggestion right there by Carla, which we missed you, Carla, when you were in Rome. It's true, there's a beautiful hotel here. Okay, now we are at the beginning of the church, of the Basilica. All this part that you see here is the Basilica. Because of his untimely death, it was in fact finished by his successor Augustus, and but suffered damage from the fire that involved this area of Rome during the 12th before Christ. Following which it was again rebuilt and named this time after Gaius and Lucius, Caesar's adopted sons, but continued to be known by its original name. Of course, they wouldn't change the name of Julius Caesar. In 283 Annus Domini, it was again ruined by a fire during the time of Carinus, and was later restored by Diocletian. Not much restoration though. As we see just columns here, but yeah. Unfortunately, not much of the splendid original building has survived, as you may notice, but as seen in the reconstructions above, but due to the many depredation that occurred during the papal era, and also because of all these fires. And my mother left with the bottle of water. Well, we're more than halfway of the tour, but I almost forgot that halfway I always remind you about the infos about the tours. So on Wednesday we have the cooking tour with gelato spritz, with spritz gelato, I'm sorry. We may add one more recipe on Wednesday, and then reminding you that these tours are free. But if you want to support, you can support by doing so by clicking on the links below, both PayPal and Buy Me Coffee, and you can find those links also in the description of this tour, but also in the description of the channel. Sorry, I'm not making much sense right now, but the heat is hitting on me. The heat is eating. Yeah, not that funny, but anyways. But yeah, we are about to finish with probably the most marvelous part of this tour. As you also keep seeing the Basilica Julia, the Temple of Dioscuri right there, the 3 columns, you remember? And but we'll continue this tour and finish it in an amazing way. But yes, we can keep going, as I reminded you of all the infos. And the tours, of course, are permanent. Now we have 2 city tours a week for a while. Friday night, 10:30 p.m. Italian time, and Sunday we have at 5 p.m. another city tour. Next city tour is on next Sunday, Villa Sciarra, but of course I will put one before on Friday. I still didn't mention which one. Okay, I'll drink a little. Give me some time. And we'll continue. Manca, ma sto qui, puoi stare qua se vuoi. Vuoi vedere questo? Lì. Vuoi vedere? Questo, ma. Okay. Now, as I told you, my tour is weird, so now I'll go to the last part of this tour, and then we'll go back to some others. I know, that's me. Okay, that palace that you see there in front, I know, Elisabetta, you're one of the few supporting the cooking tours, but unfortunately, yeah, the support is not enough to cover even the expenses of the ingredients, so that's very unfortunate. We tried, you know, we tried twice, because this is the second time back with the cooking tours, but unfortunately, we have no other options. We'll keep the August, and we'll see how it goes. If it goes well, we may be continuing. Okay, but again, we're not forcing anybody, so, but at the same time, we need to take care of our expenses too, because you may not think about it, but there's a lot of work behind. Anyways, sorry, I climbed a little. Thank you so much, Marie, for your support. Just received it on Buy Me Coffee. No, you're fine, Elisabetta. You're fine. I mean, you're a great supporter. So, just explaining the reasons, but we'll try. We'll try, because apart from, let's be honest, apart from the support, we enjoy the tours. We enjoy doing tours. So yes, we'll see. The Tabularium, the one in front of us, this is the mighty building that seems to close the complex of the forums. As I told you, this could have been the last part of the tour, but I wanted to change things little. And it's like a great dam, 74 meters, 243 feet long, huge. It's on the back of the Capitolium, Piazza del Campidoglio. We've been there again on our first tour here. If you remember, my first tour started right there on top of that terrace. That's when I started the tours again. You remember, on the 21st of April, I started the tour again there. The building derived its name from the Latin tabula, tabularium, tabula, the official register that was kept in the city's archives. The Tabularium is therefore the ancient state archives of Rome. The building currently constitutes the lower portion of the senatorial palace, dating in its first construction to 1144, which is accessed from the Piazza del Campidoglio above. And that palace, although not strictly speaking part of the forum below, dominates it, constituting an architectural backdrop, very evocative historical importance. The Tabularium consists of 2 floors made with opus quadratum facings, which the lower had 11 large arches. Only 3 can be seen today, as you see. 1, 2, 3. Set on pillars to which were leaned Doric half columns surmounted by architrave with a frieze of metopes and triglyphs. Inside, other brick arches divided the portico into 11 bays covered by white pavilion vaults. Probably the first ever built in Rome, by the way. The upper floor, there you go, traces of which are no longer legible in the present building, consist of a portico, Corinthian columns. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Mary. And now in front of you, this here, we'll go a little back. It's more visible. The Temple of Vespasian. It stands close to the great substructure wall of the Tabularium. On which the basement of the temple itself rests. The building was 108 feet long, 72 feet wide, and consisted of a cella preceded by 6 columns, plus 2 in front of the casements of all Corinthian order. The temple was accessed by a front flight of steps, but because of the narrowness of the space, is ended between one column and another beyond the line of the facade. Inside the cella was a podium intended to support the statues of the 2 deified emperors. In fact, this building, although known primarily as the Temple of Vespasian, or Vespasiano in Italian, was also finished by his other son, Domitian. Was also dedicated, as I was saying, was also dedicated to Titus. So Titus and Vespasiano. Those are the 2 deified emperors. This suggests that the construction of the temple began immediately after Vespasian's death in 79 Annus Domini, and was finished by his other son, Domitian, and after the death of his brother Titus in 81 AD. Everything that we have left today of this temple are these 3 columns. Oh, wow, I was about to fall. Just these 3 columns, just like the ones we saw before. in Corinthian columns, 49 and 60 feet high, which support a fragment. Of an architrave, which there is a frieze representing sacrificial instruments and a fragment of an inscription. And the inscription says, Restituerunt. We'll go see it. I don't know if it's visible from the screen. I'll go a little lower so you'll be able to see it. I don't want to fall. Okay, maybe here. Are you able to see the inscription there? Restituerunt, meaning they restored in Latin. This fragment allowed the temple to be identified, namely the Senate and people of Rome dedicated this temple to the divine Vespasian Augustus, the Emperor Severus, and Antoninus Pius restored. The temple was restored by Septimius Severus. And by Caracalla. Maybe if you do a screenshot and then a zoom, you will notice the inscription that I just told you. But even though it was restored by these two emperors, I mean, it must have been a very limited work, because on the basis of the capitals and sculptures that have come down to us, we can say that what remains of the building belongs entirely to the original phase, so the Flavian phase precisely. This one. And we have the Roman Forum view from here. Look how beautiful. You should probably take a screenshot now. I always like to complicate myself, and giving myself a different route, and this complicates a little bit everything, but that's fine. That's fine.
I think we'll see this stuff, Zach, and we're going to try to find some fun, eh?
Thanks.
No.
I don't want to fall. And this is the temple of the conquered, or even temple of Saturn. I will stay here. Siedo qua. Tu? We'll go a little farther. Okay, I will sit a little because I'm a little tired, I'm sorry. But here in front, look at the view of the Temple of Saturn, dating from the 1st century before Christ. Is located in the northwest western corner of the Roman Forum, and feature 8 majestic columns still standing, this time 8, built in honor of Saturn. It was the focal point of this ancient cult and stood on the site of the original temple. In addition, during the Republic, the temple also housed the public treasury, the Aerarium, a function it retained in temple era as well. So Aerarium would be the Latin word for treasury. You can also see the Tabularium on the right, and the Temple of Vespasian too. So it's all together here. Look how beautiful the view. Let's talk a little bit about Saturn. Saturn is a mysterious figure in Roman religion. Perhaps a version of the Greek god Kronos, who was worshipped especially in the festival of Saturnalia. Saturnalia, held every December 17, at least since the 5th century before Christ, and lasting several days. Let's move a little. I will move here. And so you have a better view. It was a festive occasion in which people gave gifts to each other. Slaves were granted the freedoms enjoyed by ordinary citizens. More informal clothes were worn instead of the usual toga. And there was a general round of fasting and revelry that made it the most cheerful Roman festival on the calendar. In later centuries, the festival would morph into the feast of Brumalia, and the similarity of its characteristic and its calendar shift further into December in later centuries suggests an influence on the celebration of what? Christmas, of course. The surviving ruins of the temple rest on this pediment of travertine blocks that you can see now, and are themselves composed of recycled pieces of earlier temples. The columns, shafts are made of Egyptian granite, the two side ones of Aswan pink, and the six on the facade of Mons Claudianus grey. The Ionic capitals are the only parts made specifically for the temple and are made of Tassus marble and carved in the typical late antique style. Also, I want to talk about the inscription that, I don't know, just take a picture now and then you zoom it so you can take a look at the inscription on the top. Because it refers to the reconstruction made in the years 360 and 370 AD and reads as follows: Senatus populus quae Romanus fire consemptum restituit. The Senate and people of Rome restored after destruction by fire. Incendio constitut restituit. I just read fire instead of Latin. I simultaneously translated that. Inside the temple was a cult statue of Saturn that became the center of attention during the Saturnalia, so during the festival that I just mentioned, when his feet were symbolically freed from the woolen bonds that bound him for the rest of the year. So this act led to the association of Saturn with the liberation, certainly a feature of the Saturnalia festival. Questo è il tempio di Saturno. Ricordatelo perché poi ti dico un po' di cose. Questo qua. Quello è il tempio di Vespasiano e quello è il Tabularium, dove c'era... Qui, adesso andiamo. È l'ultima cosa. Faccio l'arco e le vestali. My mother is asking for the Vestali house, and I told them, we're going. But first, the arch. Are you guys there? Let me know. This is the Arch of Septimius Severus. Beneath the slopes of the Capitol rises this arch with three arches. Guarda che bello. We'll move here so you can see better. Septimius Severus. So we saw the Arch of Titus, the Arch of Septimius Severus, and then of course the Arch of Constantine, which actually you can see right there. Si può vedere l'arco di Costantino. Oh no, sorry, that's the Arch of Titus, l'arco di Tito. That one, so between this arch. So now let's talk about this arch, Septimius Severus. With these three arches, as I said, a major central one and two minor lateral ones, built in 203 Annus Domini, 203 d.C. By the Emperor Septimius Severus. You guys don't mind that I translate in Italian sometimes for my mother, right? Why? To celebrate the victories over the Parthian worlds. Parthia constituted a large empire comprising the present-day territories of Iran and Iraq, per celebrare le vittorie contro la Parthia. che era la zona attuale dell'Iran e dell'Iraq.
Bye.
I love the kid that is taking the picture there. Okay, so just give me a sign you're alive, guys. So the last message I see is the one of Mary. So, anyways, conducted this work by Septimius Severus himself. 4 columns of the Corinthian order frame, colonne corinzie, order frame the monuments rich decoration and support the architrave on which stands the attic with the dedicatory inscription to Septimius Severus and his son Caracalla. Il figlio di Settimio Severo era Caracalla.
Ah sì?
Sì, e lì si spiega della guerra che hanno vinto. Queste sono le guerre, eh?
Sì, si vede le battaglie.
So initially, his other son Geta was also named, by his name was erased after he was assassinated at the behest of his brother. In the archivolts of the central arch are 2 winged victories, and you can tell, you can see them, right? Right there, in the middle, with the trophy. Le 2 vittorie alate con il trofeo, lì.
Come si chiamava lì?
Parthia. While those of the minor arches depict river gods. River gods. So, again, the winged victory and river gods. This and this, or this too, which is less visible on this side. Okay, glad that you're enjoying. Above the minor arch is a small frieze depicting the emperor's triumphal procession with a scene of his entry into Rome, while the larger panels depict the main moments of the military campaigns against the Parthians. And you can tell, it's all about words. It was used in medieval times as a fortress, suffering gradual silting up in the centuries to follow. Only the 19th century was the subject of major excavations and restoration that last until the first half of the 20th century. Probably one of my favorite arches. Bello però, eh? Probably it's my favorite part of the whole forum, to be honest. Who has been to the Roman Forum inside before? I'm sure, Carla, you've been inside, right? But maybe other people have been inside as well, right? Now we'll get to our last part of the tour. I want to show you also the column of Phocas. Why? Because the column of Phocas opposite the Basilica of Julia, which is this one, this is the Basilica of Julia. Oh, see, next time you call me, send me a message and I'll give you a live tour. This is the Basilica Julia, and in front of it we have the column Phocas, which is opposite the Basilica and also the Curia, in the white space of the Forum Square. This one, engulfed at one time by many honorary columns, also stands this column, the column of Phocas. When I say Phocas, I mean P-H-O-C-A. It is the last monument placed in the ancient Roman Forum before the transformations of many of its buildings into places of Christian worship. Questa è l'ultima colonna, sorry, I'm just like in Italian for my mother. Questa è l'ultima colonna messa qui, l'ultimo pezzo prima che poi fu tutto trasformato in cristiano.
Ah.
L'ultimo pezzo del foro romano, capito? Del vero foro romano, la colonna di Foca. Since then, many of the sumptuous architecture knew neglect and abandonment when not even exploitation as quarries and valuable building materials.
Ah bah là oui. Ah. Ouais, on voit.
Il y en a deux peut-être qui font un qui fait la morphologie.
Simpatia.
Peut-être 5, 6, chacun fait son morphologie.
The column is an ordinary one erected to enshrine the alliance between the two highest authorities on earth, Pope Boniface IV and the Eastern Emperor Phocas. Consisted of a reused column dating back to the 2nd century Annus Domini, set on a pedestal, and a gleaming glass bronze statue of the emperor, now lost, unfortunately. The tall pedestal, in turn, you see there in front of you. Very tall pedestal, and a gleaming glass bronze statue of the emperor. I don't know, because I was looking that. Oh no, that was me being wrong. Sorry. So again, the tall pedestal, this one that you see, instead stands on a massive parallelepiped that, like other honorary columns in the Forum, was intended to signal its monumentality. So this is the last element to be added in the Forum before actually being converted everything into Christianity. And very important because it was the sign of peace between the emperor and the pope. È pure una colonna onoraria che sanciva la pace tra il Papa e Bonifacio IV e l'imperatore d'Oriente, Foca. Per quello si chiama Foca. I mean, that's why column of Foca, because of the emperor, the Eastern Emperor. Okay. Ho fatto. Mancano solo. We're just missing the Vestali house, which my mother has been asking the whole time. Sono questi. Why? Well, let me tell you about the Vestali, because why my mother is so obsessed with it. There's a reason. But connected to the temple, which is the round one there. Remember the one where the Vestali kept the fire on the whole time. Remember? There were the Vestali house. Sono qui o questi? Mi devi aiutare. We are going to this side. This is the only one that we haven't seen. I'll lower the camera. Oh my God, it's so hot. This is all part of the still Basilica Aemilia, by the way. Just a view of the whole complex from here. Mancano quelli.
Sono distrutte.
Oh God. So connected to the temple, as I was saying, was the Vestali house, the Vestals, the priestess that took care of the fire, arranged on 2 floors, organized around a quadrangular central courtyard, which served as a garden and which was surrounded by a portico. The rooms of the priestesses were recognized in the rooms which could be accessed from the vaulted covered environment in the center of the eastern side. And then, of course, there were all statues lined up around. But okay, I need water. We're almost at the end of this tour. Scusate, ma le case delle Vestali dove sono?
Sono qui ma le abbiamo chiuse.
Ah.
Non si può entrare adesso.
No, da fuori
Però
si
lo
può.
può vedere, sì.
Ok, ok. Calling my mother. The houses of the Vestals, which we'll see from above. On the flowers in the building you just passed. Oh, okay. Jose was put there after the. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. And this is the statues and the houses of the Vestals. Hanno appena chiuso. Hanno appena chiuso. Non sapevo io. Sì. Si può vedere, ma è chiuso.
Ah, ovvio, vabbè, che importa.
Sì, you see? Atrium. Veste. Vedi? Te le statue.
Sì. Rea Silvia.
Peccato, certo, però perché chiudono?
Perché è ovvio da
Ma se il parco è ancora aperto. Vado pure di là, va? Tu aspetti, vado di qua.
No, non si può andare via.
Sì, si può.
Mi manca la testa a tutte le stanze.
I'll go also to this other side so you can see also the other view. Guys, can you believe we're in the middle of history here? Forse è più bello da qua. Sì. Way better from here. Look at all the statues lined up of the Vestals. And now I'll have my mother telling you something about it. This is the house of the Virgin Vestals. Look how beautiful. Ma tu vuoi dire qualcosa sulle Vestali? Di. Sì.
Rea Silvia, la madre del Romolo e Remo, che doveva essere vergine, invece non rispettò questa cosa, e per questo nasce Romolo e Remo, ma lei li mette in un cesto nel fiume Tevere per liberarsi dei figli, però vengono trovati dalla lupa che li ammamanta, così racconta la leggenda, no?
Sì. Tieni un attimo così, io faccio una... No, solo qui, solo lì.
Sì.
Tieni. Sta lì, So, what my mother said, that Rea Silvia, infatti vedi là dice le Vergine Vestalia, Rea Silvia was the mother of Romulus and Remus, and being the one that was supposed to be virgin, but instead committed adultery by having these two twins that then were fed by the she-wolf in the Tiber.
Probabilmente è quella là che sta messa da parte.
So she's saying because of this adultery, she's probably the one right there in the corner, far from the other ones because of her committing of her adultery committing. Peccato che non va in giro. Ma cavolo, una volta che vengo, vedi?
Un orario da rispettare.
Sì, ma è ancora aperto qui. Ok. 1 hour and 40 minutes. I told you it was going to be almost 2 hours actually. And we finished with... Ce lo sapevo, mi dispiace, perché te, appena chiuso. Lo sapevo che era qui perché this is the back of the temple of Vesta. Okay. The temple of Antoninus and Faustina. And we are here. And at the end of our tour, hopefully you enjoy the first part. Let me know. Unfortunately, let me know when you hear me. Anyways, the phone got too warm because of the heat, and that's why the tour. So probably I have to be faster next tours. I have to make them shorter because otherwise the tours will be cut off. But the tour was finished. I just wanted to say bye. So, okay. So you can hear me now. Okay, well, the phone got too warm, and that's why. I will make sure to make tours shorter next time, because otherwise the tours, the app won't survive the heat. So I'll make sure to keep the tour maybe no more than an hour and 15 minutes. Unfortunately, I have to be faster. I just want you to enjoy the tour and give you more details and stuff. So, but anyways, the tour was ended, so perfect on time. So you saw everything I wanted to show you. I just wanted to remind you that the tour was finished, and that if you wanted to support, you can do so by clicking on the links below, PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee, but they're in the description below, but also in the description of the channel. So that was it. Just for a minute more, the tour got cut, but I want to say bye with the view of the forum. So you have a lovely day. And thank you for staying with me. And hopefully you enjoyed this first part. If you liked it and if the tour was successful, then we'll do part 2 with the Imperial Forums and maybe part 3 with the Palatine Hill. Okay? Have a nice day, people. Bye.